descent. The odds are high. Every bet attests who will survive. Chase the stacks, outlast the crowd. Only the strongest left now. Who's ready to win? This is more than gambling. Let's start the show. It's Last Man Standing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Last Men Standing, emergency broadcast after the carnage that was Week 5. We're here to talk all about that craziness. As always, this show is brought to you by the folks over at Race Oracle, Survivor Sweat, and Splash Sports. Thank you very much to them. We're here to discuss a few things. Jason, how you doing over there, brother?
I'm great, Tony. And before we get into football, I'd like to wish you a very happy 31st. Is it 31st, right, Tony?
You're only off by 10 years, man.
I'm a decade off, my bad. But happy birthday,
Thank
Tony
you.
Farmer. This is a special day in the Farmer household. So that's the real lead today, right? That we were gifted with Tony Farmer 41 great years ago. So regardless of everything that happened yesterday and all the carnage, that was on top of my brain. So happy birthday, buddy.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Hey, you mentioned the carnage. Let's roll through this really quick. 3,523 get eliminated on Thursday. That feels like old news now, but we haven't had a show since then, so I got to mention that. 3,152 eliminated on the Cardinals Sunday, and what I think is the most bonkers game in Circa Survivor history. And anybody that wants to debate me on that, I will debate you on that, and you will lose that debate because it was insane. 756 go down on the Bills, Sunday Night Football, to the Patriots. By the way, we warned people about that game, Jason. You and I both did. 155 down on Seattle. 352 almost go down on the Vikings. Where does that leave us now? 4,669 people remain out of the original 18,718. Jason's still alive, by the way, Jason. So that means you have a, how does this sound, by the way? You have a 1 in 4,669 chance of winning $18.7 million.
It sounds
That's got
okay.
a nice ring to it, right?
Sure, it does. And when we talk about the Cardinals game, I am interested to get to that one for a number of reasons, but one of which is because I didn't really know where my rooting interest lied as I sat there watching that game, as we, with few entries. But real quick, if we can, Tony, I want to start with the Thursday night game because you did talk about we didn't have a chance to come at everybody after the Thursday night game. We know that you're a 49ers fan. And what I wanted to say off the top to you is that Wednesday doing a show like this, a lot changes by Thursday, by Friday, by Saturday, right? So I'll watch our show bits and pieces back and most certainly not really feel the same way that I feel on Wednesday as these days go by. So what I'll tell you, and then I'll let you talk about the Thursday night game. By the time that Thursday night game came around, when I woke up Thursday morning, I wanted no piece of the Rams because it scared me, because of all the injuries, and because Thursday night, it almost makes me feel like I'm rushing no matter what. So anyway, talk to me about that Thursday night experience. Were you part of it? Did you sweat? Talk to me.
I was not a part of that Thursday night game, so I was very happy with the result for a lot of reasons, like you said, being a 49er fan. By the way, also, I'm still alive in Circa Survivor as well. I've got a couple entries still alive on my DD3's Revenge, got through with the Colts, and so very happy about that. I've got some partner entries as well. So, I was very happy with that result. As it was unfolding, I put out a tweet in the middle of the game, and I said something to the effect of, I think people forgot the 49ers still have Fred Warner and Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
It's like, even though the 49ers are banged up, they still have some star power. And I was talking to a guy recently, Paulie Howard, actually, on a different podcast that I do, the Saturday Night Survivor Sweat Show, and I asked him, like, what's your criteria for games that you want to stay away from? Paulie, are you a guy that likes to avoid Thursday games? Are you a guy that likes to avoid road games, etc.? And he says he likes to make sure he's going up against a bad team. And the 49ers aren't a bad team. They were an injured team, but they aren't a bad team. And I think that was a good reminder for some folks out there that it can get a little dangerous when you're going up against an injured team. But sometimes it pays off too, like people that took the Texans this week against an injured Ravens team. That worked out all right for them, right? But yeah, that Thursday game was bonkers the way it played out. But it's funny how Sunday made Thursday, the Cardinals game, made the Rams game look like peanuts. And the Thursday game was absolutely insane as well, with that fumble at the goal line and the doinked kick that went in and the missed field goal. It was insane.
So real quick, I'll just talk about my entries because I'm down to one. So my brother John and I started the year with 4. We had 3 going into last week, 1 on the Cardinals, 1 on the Colts, and 1 on the LA Chargers last week.
Ooh.
And I know that raised a lot of eyebrows, most certainly with UFC producer Michael LaPlante, one of my brother's bosses, who's a Chargers fan, raised a lot of eyebrows talking about that banged up offensive line. But my brother was bullish. I've said he made the larger contribution to our Survivor entries, and I like trying to zig when others were zagging. And frankly, given what happened this week, it kind of is what it is. Had we not been on the Chargers, that entry would have been on the Arizona Cardinals and would have gone down as well. So we had one that survived on the Colts. I know, no real sweat there at 1 o'clock, Tony. So we got 25% of our entries left. A lot I've learned in 5 weeks. It's just bananas, Tony, right? Those top 2 carnages, over 53, almost 54% of the whole pool. So, Tone, do you want to talk about any of the individual games? I mean, we could do 2 hours on the Cardinals game.
Gosh,
where do you want to begin?
Man, first of all, this is a very minor thing, but I got to make sure I mention it. Did you see? I just saw for the first time this morning the highlight of that kick in the Vikings-Browns game that hit the cable, and nobody noticed it. The refs didn't notice it. The kicker, who the ball came off his foot, he didn't notice it. The announcers didn't notice it. How does something like this happen? Do you know what I'm talking about? First
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I have no words.
What?
The kicker.
This is a billion-dollar industry. How does this happen?
If I'm the kicker, if no one will listen to me, I'm like ripping off my helmet. I'm ripping off my jersey. I'm like really causing a scene. You know what I mean? How does the kicker not notice that? If nobody else and nobody watching, right? You can be sure I didn't see that live, but it took like a
Jason,
turn.
The 2 refs whose job it is to go like this,
right?
Shouldn't it also kind of be their job to like look out for stuff like that? And now this is a game overseas, so I don't know if those wires are like part of the the drone thing that usually flies over, and like, but if you know they're there, it's like when you go into a game in Dallas's stadium, you know that scoreboard's a little low, and there have been some rare times where the ball has hit that thing on a punt. So as a ref, you've got to know that, we're in Dallas, and that can happen, so let's keep an eye out. If you're those 2 refs, I feel like it's got to be your friggin' job to make sure that if the ball hits a wire that you should be aware of, you've got to notice it, man. That is absolutely inexcusable. Luckily, the team that kicked the ball and missed still won the game, and it didn't affect the outcome that much. Point spread wise, there's a little bit of an impact there potentially, but didn't impact the game, didn't impact Survivor. But holy crap, that can never happen again, NFL. Ever. Period.
So I think we should shift to the Cardinals game, but before we do, I quickly want to mention the Grandissimo contest began at 69 entries, right, Tony? 69 entries, $6.9 million to the winner is down to 16 entries, if I'm not mistaken, after 5 weeks, goes from 55 down to 16 this week. Divide 6.9 million by 16, got 431,000. There was a little piece of a Grandissimo available in this marketplace. Oh, this is just bananas. And I'll let you talk about Arizona, but I will say, we were talking a few weeks ago about, they're going to have to print a lot they better have a good tailor, got to print up a lot of jackets this year. Not so much. Stevens and Benson's probably laughing in Circa Sports right now.
Seriously, yeah, that number got cut down to 4,669. And I want to ask you that question again, Jason, because I said it half tongue-in-cheek, hey, you've got a 1 in 4,669 chance of being an 18 millionaire. But it's true. That's a lot better odds than going to buy a Powerball ticket and winning multi-millions dollars, ain't it? How do you like this? I just put this on our Twitter before we went on the show.
And there Mike Jones is at the helm. But Tony, I love it. And honestly, bro, I am kind of a rookie in this contest, so I like that I have one entry to focus on. And Tony, I've used the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Patriots, and the Colts. Not,
that's a good entry.
Right? Bills, Chiefs, Lions still available. A little juice. But I will say, Tony, if you only could have been privy to the conversations between my brother and I about the Chargers, you wouldn't be able to do the show. You'd be laughing so hard. Because I was like, please no. And he's almost, Tony, like my not wanting to take them wants him to take them more. And I'm not trying to mess around in this contest. But anyway, talk to me about the Arizona Cardinals. Where do we begin? I was barely watching it, Tony.
Man, we begin with, first of all, we lost our champ entry on the Cardinals as well.
Yes.
So condolences. A couple people did buy little pieces of that right before last week and went out in devastating fashion. As I said earlier, I think the worst Circa Survivor loss. When you take everything into account, how many people were on this game, how the game unfolded, it was absolutely bonkers. At some point this week, I've got to go back and rewatch the game, Jason, because there was so much. Mike Jones, I emailed you, I don't know if you got it or not, the next gen line graph of the win probability of that game. First of all, when you see this graphic, if we're able to pull it up, it's bonkers. It's insane. But I also want to remind people, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, the way they calculate these things, they have to calculate them after a play is over, right? So as bonkers as that line graph is, it actually can't even really fully take into effect where it really was the second before DeMercado goes into the end zone. You know what I'm saying?
Point.
So
Yes.
it's actually well worse than that. Let's start there. Even though there were some crazy things that happened leading up to that, let's first start there.
Please.
With that fumble at the goal line. It was mind-boggling. How does this happen? Not only does he drop the ball at the goal line, which by itself is absolutely inexcusable, but he also started to slow down. That's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, there's that line graph, by the way. Just absolutely insane bonkers. Mistake number 3, the defender behind him almost knocks the ball out of his hands, too. And he didn't, and that guy really had nothing to do with the play. But it was another mistake, the lack of awareness for DeMercado as he's approaching the goal line. We see guys all the time, Jason, looking over both shoulders as they come down to the goal line. We see guys looking up at the scoreboard, at the Jumbotron, at the video to see themselves, to make sure there's nobody coming from behind. So there was none of that as well. So this was a 3 times mistake. He slowed down. He obviously dropped the ball, which is clearly the biggest mistake. But then he also lacked a ton of self-awareness. And let's remind ourselves who this guy is. I believe he had 3 career touchdowns coming into this game, Jason. He's a third-string running back. This is his chance to shine. This is his chance to show people what he can do, to showcase his talents. Absolutely mind-boggling. And then here's the worst part about it. This just happened last week to the Colts. It's all over social media. It's all over the television. Did you not see this? And if you didn't see it, did your head coach not make you aware of this?
Yeah,
if I'm a head coach,
25-1, Jonathan Gannon.
Oh God, rip that ticket up and throw it in the fucking trash. If there's a market for not just first coach to be fired, because I don't think Gannon's going to be fired, but if there's a market for worst performance for NFL head coaches, because remember they also had the Carolina game.
Yes.
This same similar thing almost happened in the Panthers game. And if you were an NFL fan and you watched that Panthers game, how is that not in the back of your mind as this is all unfolding?
So great stuff there, and we're going to talk more about the Cardinals game. But the play in what, Adonai Mitchell last week, where he's switching hands at the LA Rams with the Colts at the goal line, the amount we see this so often, year to year, where this happens right at the goal line in different ways, and it blows my mind. I go on a rant every year. But let's go back. The touchdown, it's called a touchdown, right? And I said last year, touch the ball down on the goal, right? There are so many ways in which I said last year, if I'm a head coach in the football league, I say to these guys, bring me the football. Bring me the football. I don't care what you do, you suffer.
Yeah.
Bring me the football. Don't go run through the end zone. This is this should never, ever, ever happen. And maybe that is why Jonathan Gannon hit the player. He
was pretty fired up. Yeah. I think I retweeted that on our Twitter account.
You did.
He was pretty angry.
So they would have gone up 20 points there, right? Pending PAT.
Was it 22?
It was 21 to 6 or whatever it was. Was it 21 to 6 as he's rolling in? Whatever it is.
God.
So, Tony.
So at that point, let's make that clear. Ahead. The game is over if he crosses the goal line at that point. Over. Period. Even though it's the Cardinals, they're not coming back. It's over. It's done. And then there was crazy shit after that, Jason. Then you had the interception where the guy who intercepted it, not only does he fumble it, not only does his teammate kick the ball toward the end zone, and the Titans get a touchdown out of that. When you see that, I don't know what your reaction was. When I was watching it live, I'm like, the Cardinals are going to lose this game. There was no 100%. Doubt in my mind. I'm firing away at live bets on the Titans. Money line and
Bingo.
Spread. Let's go. Bingo. Opening up all the apps. Dude, you knew they were in trouble at that point. It was almost like, I don't want to say fate, but almost fate. It was like, And you kind of, obviously, I'm still rooting for the Cardinals. I had a piece of that, by the way. I lost some entries on the Cardinals,
Right.
just like you did, just like our champ entry did. And you're almost like, they fucking deserve to lose. They don't deserve to win
I
this
agree.
game anymore. After not buttoning things up after this similar thing happened in Carolina, after not learning from the Colts' mistake the week before, you don't deserve to win the game anymore. And they didn't. And in that way, call it karma or whatever you want, I guess the right thing happened. But from a bad beat perspective, from a Circa Survivor perspective, the wrong thing happened, and this was a nightmare. I mean, the comments on our Twitter this last week, people who are in the contest for the first time, people who avoided the Rams on Thursday and were on cloud 9 coming into Sunday because they
Right.
avoided the
Right.
big landmine on Thursday. By the way, I
Right.
had people reach out. I had people reach out and say, I wanted the Rams, and I went to go on my proxy's website to insert the Rams pick, and I missed it by a minute or two, so I wasn't
Yeah,
able
I
to.
saw that.
Who should have been out of this. So you have people like that who are like, yes, I'm right in this thing, to absolute devastation from this Cardinals loss.
So as the Cardinals game is taking place, and I'm realizing all the carnage that sort of had happened already with the Rams, and I was obviously rooting for champ entry. I had champ entry and then one entry with my brother. But at one point I said to my brother, I was like, I'm not really sure. I was like, I wish Tony was here because I'm not really sure if I am even, I kind of feel like I should be rooting for the Cardinals to lose here. To your point, joking about 1 out of 4,600 rather than 2 out of 8 grand, right? Or whatever
Yeah.
it may be, you know, getting rid of
Yeah.
that big chunk of people felt pretty good, even though the champ entry went down. That stung.
Survivor puts you in weird situations. I had a partner who had a Bills entry last night. And I'm doing the math, and I'm like, well, you know, if we lose one on the Bills, then we lose this percent of it. Oh, we actually gain equity on the field a little bit
Right.
if the Bills lost. And you have to start doing the math. And I think you could probably ask 10 different Circa Survivor players, like, would you trade 8% of your loss to gain, 11% in the field? How about 15%, 16%? Everybody might have a different answer on that. I like having the bullets, so I like having the entries. But at some point, it does become we are truly better off if this entry loses. And so it sounds like you might have been in that situation here with the Cardinals. Bottom line, 3/4 of the field is now eliminated, and you're still alive. And I'm going to say it again. You have a 1 in 4,669 chance of winning $18 million, Jason Anik.
I
know
love
that
it. And
feels good.
you got a better than that chance, which I like very much. And Tony, how about all the people that were sitting back, having a couple pops, enjoying the fact that they got Sunday night football coming on, Bills hosting the Patriots, right? Bills won 14 straight in this building since 2023. Oh, I'm one of the 756 entries. Yeah, we're a little sneaky here. All this carnage. Josh Allen going to handle business. Hashtag nope. Drake May and company. I mean, I could go on for days about
Jason,
this
how
football
about
game.
the people? I was listening to Gil Alexander's show this morning on VSiN. He had the Rams, he had the Bills, and he had the Cardinals. Those were his 3 teams coming in. I mean, just absolutely brutal.
Even when you spread it around, it's unbelievable.
Brutal.
So forgive me for putting you on the spot with this question, but last year, the carnage was hilarious through 2-3 weeks. Is this not just as hilarious a couple weeks later in the next year, right? Are we not in a similar situation?
I think the lesson here is, and I like how you prefaced this earlier with the whole we were talking about how there's going to be a lot of jackets because so many people were going to finish this thing. The lesson here is the carnage always comes. It will always come. The next time anybody in Circa Survivor at any point, I don't care if it's week 2, if it's week 10, if it's after Thanksgiving, starts questioning that there's going to be too many finishers, they're all going to be chopping it 100 ways, blah, blah. No, the carnage always comes. That's the lesson. You don't know when it's coming, but the carnage is coming. I promise you, it's around the corner somewhere.
Forgive me. I just want to make one comment to you from a football standpoint, right? Mike Vrabel absolutely masterfully handled the clock at the end of the first half and at the end of the game, right? I mistakenly tweeted about Sean McDermott. I was mistaken about the clock, but Mike Vrabel masterfully, Tony. And with this new kickoff, it is a huge variable, right? And when Andy Borregales hit the field goal for the Patriots, right? I'm talking to my brother. I said, much more important than making this kick, believe it or not, is being able to land this ball on the 5-yard line rather than kicking out of bounds or in the end zone like the Cardinals did a couple weeks back. You know, so it really is an interesting component with this kickoff and these games that can go either way. Gosh, you need to have smart coaches, man.
Yeah, and man, being a 49ers
Ah,
guy,
there he is.
I love Kyle Shanahan from a play calling perspective, but I wish he had half of the game management skills that Vrabel had. Vrabel was the first coach that I ever saw to do the whole intentional penalty thing late in a game because it's like 2nd and 1 and they're trying to run out the clock. Hey, let's just go ahead and give them a 1st and 10. They're a little closer to the goal line, but now I got a chance of stopping them with my timeouts here. I mean, just absolutely brilliant. I remember seeing him do stuff like that 7, 8 years ago, and once again comes through last night, like you said. Mike Vrabel is a very good
Yes.
in-game coach.
And, quickly, while everyone talks about him not being from the Belichick coaching tree, right, you can be sure he learned. That sounds like a Belichick move. You can be sure. And last night on the microphone, he did utter such a Belichickism. He said, we just made a few more plays than they did, right? It just so I don't mind if he wants to bring a little of Bill Belichick with him, but your points about that comparison with Shanahan's a great comparison because you really need someone who is totally locked in and super sharp in that way. I mean, Tony, at the end of the first half, he's leaving exactly 19 seconds on the clock to run 2 plays. He's not giving Josh Allen anything.
Yep, absolutely. And let's give the Patriots some credit. I mean, we talked about them on this show. Look who they've got the next 3 weeks. And later, by the way. I mean, the Patriots suddenly have, if you believe they're a contender, which I have a hard time believing you don't after last night's game, but if you believe the Patriots are a contender, they have really burst onto the scene in Circa Survivor in terms of future value.
It's
because
so
the next
interesting.
3 weeks are very winnable. They've got a game against the Jets later. They've got a game against the Giants later. Even the last couple weeks of the season, I think they got the Dolphins in one of those games. Like, they are sneaky for a team that you want in your pocket.
Tony, next 3 at New Orleans, at Tennessee, Cleveland. You could argue the 3 worst teams potentially in football.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And 2 of those games are on the road. I think the Cleveland game is the home one. And so how about the revenge game? Vrabel revenge game against the Titans. That's an interesting spot to go ahead on the road, but go ahead and use the Patriots there. I think I like the idea of saving the Patriots for after those 3 weeks because everybody else will mostly everybody else will burn them the next 3 weeks. So I feel like I'll be one of the very few who still has to use against the Jets or Giants later in the season. But
I love it.
Yeah.
So when you were watching that game last night, I know your buddy had a piece of the Bills or one entry on the Bills or whatever, but it was unique for me because I was rooting for the Patriots along with maybe the field, if you will, right? Those that are in the majority and not in that 756. It was kind of cool for me to root as a fan and also be able to root for that sort of survivor interest. And I said on our program last week, I said that I like the Patriots to win the game, but I also said that I can almost guarantee you I'm going to have an entry on the Bills because I thought my brother was really going to want to have an entry on the Bills. So again, right, it's like no matter what you did last week, right? I mean, unless you're going real heavy and on the Colts and Lions, and I will say, Tony, I think the holidays gave a little. My note to self for next year is to let the holidays be on the back burner, but not on the front burner. I think I kept them too much on the front burner, if you will, perhaps.
So you're saying the fear of burning the Lions for the holidays stopped you from using the Lions, and if you had not had that fear, you might have been in the Lions and still been alive.
Yes, exactly. But you also talk about being able to live with yourself. And while the Cardinals carnage is hilarious, I can live with myself on the Cardinals over the Lions yesterday. I'm not losing sleep over that.
Hey, you got to stop using the word hilarious because there's 3,000 people who want to kill you right now. We're like, that's not funny. I know what you mean by hilarious, but I think there's some people out there who are going to be misinterpreting what you're saying.
But it's like it's gambling and there's so much luck involved, right? So anything that happens I really believe there's a lot. We could talk analytics for days, gentlemen. That's why we watch this league because it flips the analytics on their back all the time. And so for me, I see the humor and I'm not happy losing money. You can be sure, but when I don't have control over it in this sense, it's just complete madness.
Yeah, madness is a very, very good way to put it for sure. Looking ahead, have you given any thought to next week? We got the Packers as a big, we're going to save it for our Wednesday show. That's our big weekly, week 6 preview show. We're going to come out Wednesday live, but I'm just curious if you have any early thoughts on next week because we do have a Thursday game with implications. Giants,
no,
Eagles.
That's very true. I was allowing myself to mourn, going down to one entry. I was sort of letting that marinate a little bit before I move forward to next week. Gosh, it was such a crazy. How about that Tampa Bay Seattle game? It was just an unbelievable sort of week. Yeah,
Baker Mayfield for MVP, dude. The Bucs are doing this right now. So banged up. We talked about it on our show how banged up they were on offense and defense. Egbuka is a legitimate star as a rookie. So when we finally get to see Evans, Godwin, and Egbuka, if I'm saying his name right, all three of those guys together on offense, and the Bucs offensive line is healthy, and their defense is healthy, I think this team could go toe-to-toe with the Eagles right now for best team in the NFC. They are that good when healthy, which we really haven't seen yet this year.
Well, it's so true. And even in that loss to Philadelphia, they outgained them by a significant amount of yardage, right? I'm second guessing a little bit of, I looked at Seattle a little bit this week in different spots, and I'm glad I didn't go crazy there. But Baker Mayfield, right? You talk about a guy's prime, whatever that sort of tip of the prime is, it might be right now for Baker. I couldn't be a bigger fan of his. I think we had a topic at one point about sort of what you look for in the NFL. Like, he really makes me stop and really want to watch, almost in a way like different, but in the way Lamar Jackson does, in a way where it's like I just can't look away. So,
and he's so gritty. He's got the you know who he reminds me of a little bit, and I hope this isn't an insult to Baker. He reminds me a little bit of Jeff Garcia in that he just plays so he's 100%. Every tackle, he's leaning forward, trying to get every inch. He just so fun to watch. By the way, I've been neglecting the comments, so let's enjoy these here for a second. Steve,
I was going to say, where are we at?
I lost a 4-leg sweetheart teaser because of Buffalo plus 2.5. Oh, that's tough. Justin says, I hate picking division rivalry games. I try to avoid them as much as possible. That would have been good advice for Thursday nights. Bills was such a bad pick, not going to lie. CJ says, laughing my ass off, knowing the Cardinals, they probably find a way to sell the game, even if they're... Dude, you know what's funny? After I got through with the Cardinals on a couple of my entries earlier this season, I posted on our Twitter something to the effect of, you feel like a king when you've gotten through Survivor with the Cardinals, because now you don't have to worry about using them again, because we all saw what happened in that Panthers game, and we just know who the Cardinals are. I mean, even season long, they have a way of blowing it, starting the season strong and then losing later in the season, starting games strong and losing later in games. We didn't know how true that was going to be. Stevie Pan says, heard Gannon gave DiMercato a shot. Yep, he did. He was. By the way, have you ever seen a coach that angry with a player? Am I being prisoner of the moment here? I can't remember.
No, you're not. It's so interesting, though, because Andy Reid and Kelsey have rings and history. So when Andy Reid shoved him, we're all like, gotta go, fat guy. You shove that motherfucker right in that moment. But, gosh, Gannon, right? It is a physical sport. Like, I'm sure I'd like to hear what DiMercato has to say about it. But wow, I still can't
He did, by the way. He owned it. I saw an interview with him outside of his locker. I don't know if you saw that. He owned it. He took it like a man. Said it was a mistake. And
hey, Randy saying happy birthday, Tony. Hope it's a good one. It's just okay, Randy. That. It's probably just okay, given the carnage yesterday. Maybe it's a great one.
I'm still alive in Circa Survivor, and I'm hanging out with Jason Anik, so it's a good day. It's a good day. I'm talking to all of you guys.
There we go.
We got some fans chiming in here. CJ says, I'm sick to my stomach about the Cards, but looking back, it was not a bad pick. Yes. I agree. Home game, no future value going forward. Absolutely. By the way, I think there's some people who are still alive in Circa Survivor who are still alive because they picked the Cardinals earlier
and couldn't use it.
That's why. That's it. That's why they're still alive, because they burned the Cardinals earlier, and they would have used the Cardinals this week if the Cardinals were available to them. And sometimes things just shake out that way in Circa Survivor. You kind of luck into a situation, and it works out for you.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, Tony, were you at
that's
Circa?
Up on the screen right here? How about this guy's ticket that's up on the screen?
Yeah.
Right here?
Wiped out.
Loses 3 on the Rams and then 4 on the Chargers. Luckily gets by that morning with the Vikings.
I wonder if week 3 was 0 dark 30 on Atlanta. I don't know if that was week 3 or week 2. But I hope it was week 3.
I think it might have been week 3.
Because if it's week 3, then he's spotted 0 dark 30. And maybe I won't use the word. Maybe I'll say hysterical instead of hilarious. Use a different word. But I just, to me, the moment of the Cardinals, like, yeah, we were pissed, but I can't believe it. Burn Cards in week 1.
She burned the Cardinals in week 1, and you feel good about it. I mean, as I'm strategizing with my partners that have entries, we're like, well, we've only got Arizona available on 5 or 6 entries, so let's do 5 or 6 on Arizona. If we had 10 entries available on Arizona, you better believe we would have had more on Arizona and gone out with Arizona in devastating fashion. So sometimes there's a lot of luck involved in Survivor. And to that point, Jason, I really never want to get in the habit of criticizing other people's picks and the decisions that they make and the path that they make. One, because I think it's kind of rude and it's kind of, you're being an asshole if you're doing that. And two, you just don't know what other people are thinking. You might think that that's a bad idea for them, but they've actually got another, their entry that you're unaware of, etc. So I don't like to do that. However, I did make the point in the Survivor Atlas Discord. I showed an entry that has only used holiday teams so far.
I saw that.
They've only, and I think, did I put that on our Twitter too? They've only used holiday teams so far. So I don't want to be a dick and judge, but I will say that this person probably is one of the few who doesn't know the rules and doesn't know that you should be saving holiday teams. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. How sick is it? How disgusting is it that that person is still alive? And all these sharp-ass sports bettors who made the right decision on the Cardinals are out. It's a weird, weird contest we're in, man.
It really is, and it's like when we look back at the end of the season and you say you went out on the Cardinals, right? If they end up 7-10, you might look at yourself and be like, oh, what am I doing here? Not playing a team that made a big run. You think I'm not questioning myself playing the Chargers against a team that went to the Final Four last year with Jaden Daniels back and a banged up line? But I'll throw that one on my brother. But you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
you can second guess for days. We're both still alive, and I think. For me, I mean, Tony, what I'll ask you, and I know we got to get out of here soon, is I've seen a lot of comments out there of people like, oh yeah, I'm not doing 10 entries anymore in this thing next year. Like I'm throwing money away or whatever it is. That's why I sort of take the opposite and laugh a little bit because I think it's a bad beat rather than, you know what I mean? I can't wait to do more entries next year.
Yeah, by the way, I haven't met someone that's followed through on that. I'm sure they exist, but I haven't met someone that's actually followed through with doing less entries the next year in Circa Survivor. It's usually the other way around. You have so much fun, even if it ends in a bad beat. This contest gets a hold of you. You get a taste of it, and you want to keep going for sure. Someone here had a good point.
Yeah,
how many people are going to steam Green Bay? I don't want to talk too much about this because we got to save it for next week, but it is a great question because they're a 2-touchdown favorite this week off of a bye. And I do think your point, Jonathan, after a carnage week, it's human nature to try to find comfort, to try to find safety, and not worry so much about future value. And then you have a couple weeks where there's no carnage, you start to get a little ballsy because you haven't been slapped in a while. Nobody's been slapped to be reminded of what the carnage feels like.
Right.
So I do think that Green Bay number might get inflated a little bit this week because people are going to be looking for some comfort.
Oh, I think it's going to be absolutely enormous. Matt LaFleur in the locker room like, gentlemen, let's try not to tie this week after a couple weeks off, boys.
I forgot that. Yeah, that was their last game. Yeah. They're going to be coming in pissed. They're going to be coming in pretty angry for sure.
So I feel like we leave a little meat on the bone for a couple days from now. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm looking forward to coming in hot and talking to you guys on Wednesday. By the way, if you're watching this show right now, if you can give us a little thumbs up if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button on YouTube. As always, we're also available on Spotify. Spotify episodes usually come out about a day or so after they tape. So this one will come out tomorrow, for instance. They're also available on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. So please subscribe, please like. We appreciate all your guys' comments. I hope I didn't miss any comments. I probably did. Really appreciate your guys' engagement. And we'll see you back here Wednesday, right, Jason?
We will be back. Appreciate y'all.
How about that new intro song, by the way?
Lines are set, the odds are high. Every bet a test who will survive. Chasing stacks, outlast the crowd. Only the strongest left now.